grew his hair long and wore leather pants and roamed the halls of higher education, selling weed. It was here he met my mom. She was smart, pretty, socially conscious, and super needy. And when my dad talked about civil rights, she assumed he was a feminist. She immediately quit school and moved to Maine with him to live in the woods with no electricity and no running water. He had that effect on women. They did the back to nature thing for a while, but once my mom had me, my dad convinced her to move into the house that he grew up in. My grandparents were finally moving to a better neighborhood, and eventually my mom agreed. Women like free houses. But once my dad was back on his block, he began to change. Or rather, change back. He cut off his long hair and got a short perm. He became obsessed with his shoes, and he bought us an African drum coffee table and one of those high-backed wicker chairs, you know the ones you always see Huey Newton in? And he was invited by all his friends from high school to join the Esquire Club, an all-black men's club. Within a year, the man my mom had married had shed his crunchy granola skin, exposing a bona fide soul brother, and they teetered on the brink of divorce. Meanwhile, my sister, who was born in the Rainier Valley, took after my dad. She seemed to pop right out of the womb and into a dance troupe. She found so much love and approval in the black community, you'd think she'd invented beatboxing. See Dougie Fresh. So while my mom was busy planning her escape, my sister and father were cohorts, completely integrated into the community we lived in. And then there was me, the honky. I'm not saying that to be provocative or put myself down. I was a honky. I couldn't dance. I couldn't sing. I couldn't double Dutch. The dueling jump rope scared me. I didn't have great stories that started with "we was at" and ended with "I told her not to make me take my earrings off." Honestly, being a honky was A-okay with me. I wished my whole family were honkies. Big honkies. I wish that we were the cover family for Honky Weekly. If I could have picked my family, they would have been honky professors that sat around in honky-ass tweed jackets reading the paper, stopping occasionally to say honky things about what was going on in China and how brilliant I was. They would talk in gentle, honky voices, and when they made chicken, they would throw out the gizzards. Instead, I got my dad sitting around playing dominoes with 4 large black men who were all apparently my uncle, and who agreed that the only way to discuss affirmative action was at the top of your lungs. They also thought kids were beer fetchers crossed with remote controls, and that there was something seriously wrong with my rhythm. I had a rhythm problem. This was not acceptable to my father, and so he began his crusade to make me down. I remember it starting shortly after my 6th birthday. Without looking up from his dominoes game, he said to me, "You need to stop trying to hang out with grown folk and get out and play with the neighborhood kids." The 4 learned black men he played with sat at the dining room table nodding in agreement, but I was not thrilled with the idea. I didn't really know the neighborhood kids, but they all hung out at the end of the block, being bigger than me and knowing each other really well. What I was a fan of was hanging out with my daddy. Mom drove a city bus, and Dad took care of me and my little sister Honora during the day. Sometimes he would have a job doing construction, and we would go hammer nails and stuff until someone got hurt. But usually he was entertaining these 4 guys from the neighborhood, Reggie D., Eldridge, Big Lyman, and Delroy, and I just didn't get why he wouldn't want me there too. I was fun. My dad put his dominoes in order as he continued. "You know what you need to do?" I had a feeling he was going to tell me. "You need to get out and make friends with the sisters." "You mean the girls out front of Latifah's house?" My dad nodded. "Why?" I asked. "You may need those girls someday, and your neighborhood is where you live." "What do I do?" "Just go introduce yourself," he said. Then waving his hands around, he added, "But not like you're scared. Like you're doing them a favor." I knew this had something to do with being cool, but I was scared and I didn't see how I was doing anyone a favor. "Those girls would be lucky to have you."